Back in his laboratory, Tesla watched the crystal compass spin toward the Atlantic Trench. The compass ignored north and pointed only toward the enormous blue eyes below. Every few seconds, a deep pulse rattled glass jars on Tesla's shelves. The transparent star tree dimmed whenever the underwater signal passed through the room. Tesla compared the pulse with records from the restored Ocean City. The pattern was not a warning, but a slow mechanical heartbeat. His mechanical pigeon placed a tiny pillow over its head and pretended to sleep. Tesla unrolled a new blueprint for a stronger deep-sea exploration vessel. This submarine would survive pressure strong enough to crush ordinary steel. By sunset, the next impossible expedition had already begun. Tesla reinforced the copperfish submarine with curved plates of star metal. He added crystal pressure windows, surrounded by thick brass rings. 4 magnetic fins unfolded from the hull like mechanical wings. A glowing drill opened from the submarine's nose for cutting ancient rock. The mechanical pigeon received a round pressure helmet. With 2 tiny lamps, it tested the helmet by knocking its beak against Tesla's toolbox. Tesla packed comet batteries, repair tools, biscuits, and the crystal compass. He also installed an emergency tea kettle beside the navigation controls. The launch chamber filled with water as blue lights activated across the hull. The upgraded copper submarine disappeared into the Atlantic before midnight. The restored Ocean City welcomed Tesla with glowing domes beneath the dark sea. Mechanical seahorses guided his submarine through the harbor entrance. The giant copper manta ray waited beside the city's central tower. Its wings displayed a map leading toward the deepest trench. Tesla connected the crystal compass to the submarine's steering system. The mechanical pigeon inspected the map while wearing its helmet backward. Tesla quietly turned the helmet around before the pigeon noticed. The city gates opened, revealing a narrow route between coral mountains. Tesla waved goodbye to the mechanical creatures gathered on the platforms. The submarine entered the darkness beyond the city's protective lights. Sunlight vanished completely as the copper submarine crossed the trench edge. The ocean below looked like an endless black sky without stars. Tesla activated every lamp, but the darkness swallowed most of their light. Strange fish with transparent bodies followed the submarine from a distance. One fish carried its own glowing lantern directly above its enormous mouth. The pigeon copied the fish by holding a small bulb over its helmet. A current suddenly pulled the submarine downward faster than expected. Tesla grabbed the controls, while loose biscuits floated around the cabin. The emergency kettle calmly continued boiling during the entire fall. The submarine finally stabilized beside a cliff descending beyond sight. 2 enormous blue eyes opened inside the darkness below the submarine. Each eye was wider than one of the Ocean City's glass domes. Tesla stared through the pressure window, while the pigeon hid behind his shoulder. The eyes moved closer, revealing metal eyelids covered with coral and stone. A gigantic mechanical face emerged from the wall of the trench. Its ancient bronze surface resembled a whale, a dragon, and a submarine together. The creature released a pulse that pushed Tesla's vessel backward. The crystal compass answered with a calm turquoise flash. The enormous machine stopped moving and studied the tiny copper submarine. Tesla named the ancient guardian the Abyssal Colossus. A circular opening appeared beneath the Colossus's right eye. Tesla guided the submarine through the opening into a tunnel inside its head. The tunnel walls contained gears larger than houses and cables, thick as bridges. Blue fluid moved through transparent pipes like glowing blood. The submarine docked beside a platform covered in ancient symbols. Tesla stepped out wearing magnetic boots and carrying the crystal compass. The mechanical pigeon followed with 1 lamp pointed forward and 1 backward. The platform tilted, but invisible gravity held both explorers safely in place. A deep metallic voice echoed through the machine without using words. Images appeared in the air, inviting Tesla toward the central chamber. Tesla crossed a bridge suspended above thousands of slowly turning gears. The pigeon dropped 1 screw and watched it fall for nearly a minute. At the bridge's end stood a sealed door shaped like a giant eye. The crystal compass opened the door with 3 turquoise pulses inside. A mechanical ocean floated inside a transparent sphere. Tiny currents, storms, and glowing islands moved across its surface. Tesla realized the sphere controlled pressure throughout the Atlantic Trench. The abyssal colossus had once protected the ocean from violent earthquakes. Centuries of damage had weakened its internal balance system. The recent awakening meant the machine was beginning to fail. A cracked pressure regulator trembled beside the floating ocean sphere. Each tremor sent a dangerous wave toward the restored ocean city. Tesla opened the regulator and found hundreds of crystal gears inside. Several gears had fused together beneath layers of black mineral dust. The pigeon used a tiny brush to clean one gear with exaggerated care. Tesla applied moonlight oil collected from the floating observatory. The first crystal gear began turning smoothly with a musical hum. Then every remaining gear started spinning far too quickly. Tesla's mustache stretched sideways as pressure winds filled the chamber. He grabbed the regulator wheel before it could tear free. The runaway regulator opened hidden vents throughout the colossus. Powerful streams of bubbles erupted from its metal body into the trench. Outside, the ancient guardian began rising from the seabed. Entire cliffs shook as coral and stone fell from its enormous back. The ocean city detected the movement and activated emergency shields. Tesla struggled to slow the machine using the regulator wheel. The pigeon flew into a control panel and accidentally pressed 12 switches. 11 switches made the situation worse, but one opened a maintenance route. Tesla spotted a second control chamber inside the colossus's chest. He raced toward it, while the giant guardian continued rising. Tesla descended through a vertical shaft using his anti-gravity boots. The mechanical pigeon followed inside a small brass tool basket. Rotating rings tried to redirect them into several incorrect corridors. Tesla used the crystal compass to identify the only stable path. One ring flipped Tesla upside down while the pigeon remained perfectly upright. Tesla corrected his boots and continued with slightly less dignity. They reached the chest chamber beside a roaring blue energy core. The core looked like a miniature whirlpool trapped inside glass. 3 broken stabilizer arms swung wildly around the spinning current. Tesla realized all 3 had to be repaired at the same moment. Tesla attached magnetic cables to the 3 moving stabilizer arms. The pigeon carried replacement bolts toward the first damaged joint. A sudden energy pulse turned every metal tool weightless. Wrenches and screws floated around Tesla like a confused silver cloud. He activated one anti-gravity boot and kicked the tools toward the work platform. The pigeon caught the correct bolt, but also caught the emergency teaspoon. Tesla repaired the first arm while balancing above the spinning core. The pigeon tightened the second arm using both wings and its beak. The third stabilizer remained too far away for either explorer to reach. Tesla launched the teaspoon from a magnetic tool like a tiny rocket. The flying teaspoon struck the third stabilizer's release latch perfectly. The final arm moved into position around the blue energy core. Tesla tightened the last joint as all 3 stabilizers locked together. The trapped whirlpool changed from violent blue to calm turquoise. Throughout the colossus, enormous gears slowed into a steady rhythm. The guardian stopped rising and settled gently beside the trench wall. The ocean city's emergency shields switched off one dome at a time. Tesla and the pigeon celebrated with the last undamaged biscuits. The pigeon discovered its biscuit had absorbed seawater through the helmet. It silently placed the soggy biscuit inside Tesla's coat pocket. The repaired colossus projected a new message inside its chest chamber. Images showed it guarding the oceans long before Tesla's own century. It had redirected earthquakes, repaired trenches, and guided lost sea creatures. The message also revealed several other guardians hidden around the world. One slept beneath polar ice, another beneath a desert, and one above the clouds. Tesla copied their locations into a fresh secret folder. The crystal compass suddenly gained 3 additional glowing needles. Each needle pointed toward a different sleeping machine. The mechanical pigeon tried to bend all 3 needles toward home. The compass politely returned them to their original directions. Before Tesla left, the colossus opened a chamber containing ancient tools. One device could shape metal using only sound and vibration. Another could store enormous pressure inside a marble-sized crystal. Tesla selected one small turquoise crystal as a repair gift. The colossus lowered the copper submarine safely from its internal dock. Tesla returned to the cockpit, while the pigeon removed its pressure helmet. The enormous guardian closed its mechanical eye and returned to watchful silence. Blue symbols glowed across its back, like stars beneath the ocean. The submarine climbed toward the restored city through calmer water. Mechanical manta rays escorted Tesla beneath the shining glass domes. Tesla returned home just as morning sunlight reached his laboratory windows. He placed the turquoise precious crystal beside the star seed and wave crystal. The three inventions created a floating map of Earth above his desk. Glowing points appeared beneath oceans, deserts, mountains, and frozen lands. One point beneath the polar ice began flashing much faster than the others. A tiny projection showed a tower trapped inside a moving glacier. Then the projection revealed a shadow walking inside the frozen tower. The mechanical pigeon slowly placed its diving helmet inside a locked drawer. Tesla opened a new folder and drew plans for an electric ice crawler. Far in the north, something inside the glacier opened one golden eye. Long after midnight, Nikola Tesla opened the mysterious, star-shaped folder. Moonlight touched the page, and a hidden blueprint began shimmering. It described a machine that collected energy directly from distant stars. Tesla named it the Star Engine, though it resembled an electrified clock. He carried the folder into his secret laboratory beneath the city. Copper coils awakened as he spread the blueprint across his work table. Even the mechanical pigeon stopped sorting screws and stared. Tesla smiled, rolled up his sleeves, and started building immediately. By sunrise, gears and wires covered nearly every inch of floor. At the center stood a golden machine shaped like a star. Tesla installed a blue crystal and connected 6 enormous copper coils. The final bolt tightened, and every compass began spinning wildly. A teaspoon rose from the table and floated past his face. Then wrenches, books, chairs, and one confused cat followed. Tesla had not captured starlight, but he had misplaced gravity. He grabbed the table while his shoes left the floor. The mechanical pigeon discovered it could fly without moving its wings. It drifted upside down with a deeply offended expression. Tesla reached for the emergency lever, but it floated away. He caught it using a net designed for electrical sparks. The engine stopped, and everything returned to the floor together. Papers landed softly, tools landed loudly, and the cat landed on Tesla. After recovering, Tesla installed a large gravity control wheel. He tested it using one apple and several heavy sandbags. The apple floated perfectly, while the sandbags stayed firmly grounded. Tesla proudly wrote notes as the apple drifted into a lamp. He lowered the power until it hovered above his hand. Next, he built anti-gravity boots from leather and copper. The first step lifted him gently above the wooden floor. The second sent him gliding sideways like a confused waiter. Tesla tried turning left, but the boots preferred right. He circled a coil and floated through a hanging curtain. The pigeon chased him while carrying the instructions in its beak. Tesla finally stopped by grabbing the laboratory chandelier. He added small steering fins beside each boot heel. Now he could climb the air like invisible stairs. He rose above the laboratory and admired his glowing inventions. Then one boot sparked and slowly rotated him upside down. Tesla stayed calm because nobody was there to laugh. The pigeon's tilted head somehow felt exactly like laughter. With gravity controlled, Tesla aimed the star engine skyward. He opened the observatory roof beneath a clear night sky. 8 crystal arms unfolded like a shining mechanical flower. Blue beams connected the crystals with the brightest stars. The engine gathered tiny particles of pale silver light. Tesla trapped them inside batteries lined with copper threads. Each battery glowed and became lighter than the surrounding air. One escaped his hand and floated toward the open roof. The pigeon caught it, but both continued drifting upward. Tesla pulled them down with a magnetized fishing hook. The glowing battery powered a small elevator without cables. It rose inside a blue column toward the observatory roof. Tesla expanded the platform and added a brass safety railing. The mechanical pigeon inspected every bolt with great seriousness. Tesla placed a potted plant aboard for the first test. The platform climbed above the laboratory and entered the clouds. It returned covered in snow, followed by a tiny rain cloud. The cloud rained whenever Tesla touched anything made of metal. He trapped it inside a jar marked with a cloud symbol. The star engine had created a road through the sky. Tesla prepared anti-gravity boots, goggles, tools, tea and biscuits. He also packed 3 emergency combs for his famous mustache. The pigeon carried the map because Tesla's pockets were full. Together, they boarded the floating elevator beneath the stars. The platform rose silently beyond the laboratory roof. The city became a glowing miniature far below them. They passed clouds, migrating birds, and one surprised weather balloon. Tesla waved, and the balloon appeared to wave back. Higher still, the sky darkened, and the stars brightened. A silver pathway formed ahead from concentrated starlight. The elevator followed the pathway towards something hidden above clouds. It was neither a moon nor anything shown on Tesla's maps. A floating observatory waited there, built from silver and black glass. No door appeared, only the symbol from Tesla's folder. He inserted one battery, and the wall opened silently. Inside stood ancient machines beneath centuries of silver dust. Tesla entered carefully while the pigeon recorded everything. One machine grew tiny flowers from beams of moonlight. Another folded empty space into small glowing cubes. A third poured liquid darkness into ordinary teacups. Tesla lifted a teacup and immediately lost sight of his hand. He poured the darkness back, and his hand returned wearing a glove. The glove soon changed back into his familiar black sleeve. The mechanical pigeon refused to approach any mysterious teacup. At the observatory's center grew a garden beneath glass. Silver-leaved plants turned slowly toward distant stars. One flower opened and released a miniature glowing moon. It orbited Tesla's head and pulled buttons from his coat. Tesla caught it inside his hat and returned it. The entire garden glowed, apparently pleased with his manners. Beyond the garden stood a chamber filled with thousands of clocks. Some moved forward, others backward, and several seemed thoughtful. The largest clock had a doorway instead of hands. Tesla approached, and the previous 10 seconds suddenly repeated. He approached again, and the same moment repeated once more. Tesla realized the clock had trapped him inside time. He threw a biscuit across the room before another reset. The biscuit struck a hidden switch at exactly the right moment. Time continued, although the pigeon now wore 3 hats. Tesla removed 2 and kept them for future emergencies. The clock doorway opened onto a chamber containing a frozen comet. It hovered inside a magnetic cage, sparkling with golden dust. Picture symbols warned of explosions and a scientist with wild hair. Tesla studied his own hair and found the warning personal. He redirected the comet's energy into an empty battery. The battery filled instantly and hummed like tiny kettles. The frozen comet shrank into a harmless snowball. The pigeon pecked it and created a miniature blizzard. Tesla covered the snowball with his emergency mustache scarf. The blizzard stopped, leaving both explorers covered in frost. The powerful battery awakened every machine inside the observatory. Lights spread across walls as ancient devices turned towards Tesla. A giant map appeared, showing glowing roads between stars. One route connected directly with Earth beneath Tesla's laboratory. Another vanished into a region shaped like a spiral key. Tesla understood the observatory had waited for someone. He touched the console, and a message appeared through images. It showed inventions shared peacefully across many distant worlds. Tesla recognized an invitation rather than a warning. He copied the map and carefully removed the battery. Before leaving, Tesla collected one seed from the moonlight garden. It pulsed like a tiny heartbeat made from stars. He placed it inside a padded box beside the cloud jar. The pigeon discovered an ancient sandwich inside a storage compartment. Tesla examined it and left that mystery completely unopened. They returned to the elevator. As the observatory closed, the silver pathway carried them safely back toward Earth. Below, city lights resembled another beautiful constellation. Tesla promised future journeys would include more fresh sandwiches. The mechanical pigeon remained respectfully unconvinced. Back home, Tesla planted the silver seed in a flower pot. He added water, moonlight, and one measured electrical spark. A transparent tree grew instantly from the ordinary soil. Glowing stars hung from every branch like strange fruit. Each star powered a different invention without wires or smoke. One powered the city model, another powered the weather tower. A third awakened the airship near the laboratory ceiling. The pigeon chose the smallest star as a nightlight. Tesla locked the comet battery behind 3 reinforced doors. Then he recorded every discovery inside the secret folder. Just before dawn, the star map appeared above Tesla's desk. A new route blinked beneath the Atlantic Ocean. It ended at a glowing city hidden deep underwater. Tesla unfolded plans for a submarine shaped like a copper fish. The pigeon studied the drawing, then slowly looked at Tesla. Tesla placed a tiny diving helmet over its head. The pigeon removed it immediately and hid behind the star tree. Tesla laughed and activated the first underwater coil. Far below the ocean, something answered with a blue pulse. The second adventure ended, but another mystery was already calling. Nikola Tesla was famous for imagining inventions far beyond his time. Wireless electricity, remote-controlled machines, and devices that seemed impossible were only part of his story. But what if Tesla kept his strangest ideas hidden from the world? One quiet night, Tesla stood alone inside his laboratory. Copper coils hummed around him, blue sparks jumped between brass switches, and a light bulb glowed in his hand without a single wire. Behind a dusty curtain, he uncovered an iron door with 3 strange dials. Tesla turned them carefully. Electricity crawled around the frame, the locks clicked, and the door opened into a narrow underground corridor. At the end was a circular archive filled with cabinets, rolled blueprints, and sealed wooden chests. Tesla opened the largest chest and found dozens of folders tied with colored ribbons. Each one carried a mysterious symbol. He lifted the first folder. A tiny electric city appeared above it. The first secret project was a city powered without wires inside a hidden workshop. Tesla had built a complete model town with homes, factories, street lamps, and a tiny train. He placed a copper sphere in the center and connected it to a miniature transmission tower. Then he pulled a lever. Blue energy rings spread across the model. Street lamps glowed. Factory wheels began to turn. The train started moving and circled Tesla's shoes. Tesla tried to step over it, lost his balance, and fell backward into a chair. The train continued proudly, as if it had won. Tesla tested more wireless devices. A lamp switched on across the room. A fan blew his mustache sideways. A floating frying pan cooked a pancake using nothing but energy from the air. Then the pancake launched upward and landed on Tesla's head. The experiment was not perfect, but it worked. In Tesla's imagined city, electricity could reach every building without cables. The second folder contained a small mechanical oscillator. Tesla attached the device to a stone column in the basement. At first, it produced only a quiet hum. Then cups began shaking. Tools bounced across tables. Hanging bulbs swung in perfect rhythm. Tesla adjusted one tiny control. A brick jumped out of the wall and landed in his hand. He placed it back, but the entire wall rippled like a curtain. Tesla tried to stop the machine. He turned the power down. Nothing happened. He covered it with a cushion. The cushion shook like jelly. Finally, he sat on top of it, bouncing rapidly while trying to look serious. Then he noticed that the machine was not even connected to power. Tesla struck a tuning fork. A golden sound wave crossed the room and cancelled the vibration completely. Everything became still. One final screw fell from the ceiling and landed on his head. The third folder described a camera that could photograph thoughts. Tesla built a brass box with a crystal lens and connected it to a helmet covered in copper contacts. He sat in front of the machine and imagined a perfect electric tower. The screen displayed exactly what he had pictured. A magnificent tower made of lightning. Then Tesla accidentally thought about lunch. The tower became a giant sandwich. He tried to focus, but the sandwich grew wings. Pigeons, gears, stars, and teacups filled the screen. The camera began printing endless strips of paper until Tesla disappeared beneath them. When he climbed out, he found one useful design hidden among the nonsense. A compact energy engine. Naturally, Tesla tested the camera on a sleeping cat. The screen showed a mountain of fish and soft cushions. The cat woke, and the image became a giant paw reaching toward the camera. Tesla quickly ended the experiment. Some thoughts, he decided, were better left private. Among the printed images was another invention, a weather tower. Tesla climbed onto the laboratory roof and assembled a tall machine with copper rings, glass spheres, and a lightning rod. The moment he activated it, a tiny dark cloud appeared directly above his head. The rest of the sky remained sunny. The cloud rained only on Tesla. He moved it over a flower pot, and the flower grew into a sunflower taller than he was. Another control created a spiral breeze that swept leaves into a perfect circle. The breeze soon became strong enough to lift Tesla by his coat. He pressed the emergency button. The wind stopped, every object dropped, and an open umbrella landed perfectly above him. Tesla calmly poured tea, while the tower separated a storm into neat bands and created a rainbow across the sky. The next folder led him to a secret hangar. Suspended from the ceiling was a silver airship with copper fins, glowing blue rings, and no propeller. Tesla installed a crystal core, climbed into the cockpit, and pulled a lever. The airship rose silently. It glided above forests, rivers, and distant towns. It could hover, slide sideways, and turn without making a sound. Then Tesla pressed the wrong button. His seat rotated backward. For several uncomfortable seconds, he flew forward while facing the tail of his own machine. The seat returned to normal just before the airship entered a cloud. It emerged covered in sparkling droplets, and Tesla activated an electric shield that turned the water into a glowing ring. He landed safely on a grassy hill. The moment he stepped out, the airship began floating away because he had forgotten to switch it off. Tesla jumped, grabbed the lever, and pulled it back down. Even a genius could forget simple things. The next invention was much smaller, a mechanical pigeon. Tesla built it from brass, copper, and blue glass. It could fly, scan electrical signals, carry messages, and find its way home. During its first test, it landed directly on Tesla's mustache. After being moved to his finger, the bird flew through the city. It passed rooftops and clock towers, discovered unusual signals, and even freed a real pigeon trapped behind a wooden crate. The two birds returned together. The real pigeon immediately stole a shiny screw from Tesla's workbench. Tesla recovered it only after offering a bowl of seeds. The mechanical pigeon then projected an image of a remote mountain valley. At its center stood a circular stone ring. Tesla traveled there in a small electric carriage. The stone ring was ancient and covered with geometric patterns. Tesla placed a blue crystal into a brass socket, the center of the ring filled with a mirror-like surface. But it did not show an ordinary reflection. It showed the valley beneath a different sky. Tesla waved. His reflection waved 1 second later. Then the mirror revealed a future city powered by clean wireless energy. Towers glowed without cables. Vehicles moved silently. Homes drew power directly from the air. For a moment, Tesla saw the world he had always imagined. Then hundreds of tiny Teslas appeared, all arguing over one small wrench. Tesla quickly adjusted the frequency. The mirror stabilized and displayed golden paths branching toward many possible futures. It was not showing one certain future. It was showing choices. Tesla removed the crystal, and the mirror dissolved into harmless sparks. Back in the laboratory, he used the crystal to power a teleportation doorway. He placed an apple in front of the portal and activated it. The apple rolled through and appeared across the room twice as large. A teacup came out tiny enough to sit on his fingertip. A rubber ball emerged at the correct size, but bounced across the ceiling, as though gravity had forgotten where the floor was. Tesla carefully placed one foot through the portal. His shoe appeared across the room and tapped the mechanical pigeon on the shoulder. The startled bird flew in circles around his head. Tesla switched the machine off. Teleportation needed more testing. Only one folder remained. It described a cosmic radio receiver made from copper loops, glass tubes, crystal headphones, and a rotating map of the stars. Tesla aimed the largest antenna toward the night sky and listened. At first there was only static, then he heard a pulse. 3 soft beats, repeating again and again. The signal changed into a strange musical rhythm. Tesla tried to remain serious, but his foot began tapping. The mechanical pigeon danced on the control panel, A glowing image of the moon appeared above the receiver. Near its edge, a tiny geometric object flashed. Tesla transmitted 3 gentle electric pulses. The object flashed 3 times in reply. A burst of static turned Tesla's hair into an enormous cloud. The mechanical pigeon used one wing to smooth it back into place. Tesla recorded the mysterious signal on a spinning glass cylinder and stood silently beneath the stars. Perhaps the signal came from another inventor. Perhaps it came from another world. Or perhaps the universe was simply curious about the man who never stopped asking impossible questions. Tesla returned every folder to the underground archive and locked the chest. But one final folder slipped onto the floor. Later, he found it beside his desk. Inside was a drawing of a gigantic machine shaped like a star. A spark rose from the page and formed a tiny spinning galaxy above his hand. Tesla smiled beneath his famous mustache and raised one finger. The secret archive was not empty, and this adventure was only the beginning. Just before sunrise, the underwater signal pulsed again beneath Tesla's laboratory. The blue light on his workbench blinked 3 times, paused, then blinked 3 more. Tesla compared the rhythm with the star map from the floating observatory. The new route pointed directly beneath the Atlantic Ocean. At its end, a hidden city glowed like a second constellation. Tesla unrolled plans for a copper submarine, shaped like an elegant mechanical fish. The mechanical pigeon studied the drawing and immediately hid behind the star tree. Tesla promised the journey would be perfectly safe, which made the pigeon more suspicious. He packed tools, starlight batteries, emergency biscuits, and several dry mustache combs. By nightfall, the copperfish submarine stood ready inside a secret launch chamber. The submarine had brass fins, glowing blue windows, and a crystal-powered tail. Tesla installed the star engine battery behind 3 waterproof doors. The mechanical pigeon received a tiny diving helmet and looked deeply offended. Tesla pressed the launch lever, and the chamber filled with rushing seawater. The copperfish slipped through an underwater tunnel beneath the laboratory. City lights faded behind them as the submarine entered the open ocean. Schools of silverfish followed the glowing vessel through dark blue water. Tesla waved at them, and the mechanical pigeon copied him 1 second later. A curious octopus tapped the glass and examined Tesla's mustache. Tesla politely tapped back, beginning the strangest scientific greeting of his career. The submarine descended beyond the sunlight into a quiet world of shadows. Tesla activated a ring of soft blue lamps around the copper hull. Glowing jellyfish drifted past, like floating lanterns in a midnight parade. The mechanical pigeon tried to count them but became distracted by its own reflection. A deep current pushed the submarine sideways toward a forest of giant seaweed. Tesla turned the steering wheel left, but the submarine turned upward. He turned right, and the vessel performed a slow circle around one confused whale. The whale watched patiently while Tesla corrected the controls. Tesla finally discovered that the steering labels had been installed upside down. He rotated the entire control panel and continued with much greater dignity. A mountain-sized shadow appeared ahead beneath the ocean floor. The hidden city slowly emerged from the darkness behind enormous coral towers. Its glass domes glowed gold, and blue energy flowed through transparent streets. No smoke, wires, or moving engines could be seen anywhere. The whole city seemed powered by the ocean itself. Tesla guided the copper submarine toward a circular entrance gate. The gate remained closed until the mechanical pigeon accidentally sneezed inside its helmet. The sound created 3 perfect pulses matching the mysterious signal. The ancient gate opened, revealing a bright tunnel filled with bubbles. Tesla stared at the pigeon, who pretended the entire event had been intentional. The submarine entered a vast underwater harbor, filled with silent mechanical creatures. Brass seahorses carried cargo between glowing platforms. Mechanical turtles cleaned the glass domes with rotating brushes. A giant copper manta ray floated above the harbor, like a peaceful airship. Tesla docked beside a staircase that remained completely dry beneath the sea. He stepped out and tested the invisible water barrier with one careful finger. The barrier bent like clear jelly, but kept every drop outside. The mechanical pigeon walked through confidently and immediately slipped on the polished floor. Tesla helped it up while trying not to laugh. Together, they entered the abandoned city beneath the Atlantic. Inside the first dome, transparent buildings curved around a central blue fountain. The fountain flowed upward instead of downward. Each drop became a tiny glowing sphere before returning to the pool. Tesla collected one sphere inside a glass jar for careful study. The sphere escaped and began orbiting his head like a miniature planet. The mechanical pigeon tried to catch it and collided with a floating bench. The bench politely moved aside as though avoiding further trouble. Tesla realized that gravity inside the city could be redirected by thought. He imagined the sphere returning to the fountain, and it obeyed immediately. Then the pigeon imagined biscuits, and every nearby chair became biscuit-shaped. Tesla entered a hall containing hundreds of shells connected by copper threads. Each shell whispered a different sound from somewhere in the ocean. One carried whale songs, another storms, and another the ticking of distant machines. Tesla placed a shell near his ear and heard his own laboratory clock. The city had built a communication network through water. The mechanical pigeon listened to another shell and heard thousands of pigeons at once. It dropped the shell and backed away in complete alarm. Tesla traced the copper threads toward a glowing chamber below. The threads converged around a giant crystal, shaped like a frozen wave. The crystal pulsed with the same rhythm that had called them across the ocean. Tesla approached the wave crystal while blue symbols appeared in the water around it. The symbols formed images of the city during its brightest age. Inventors once used ocean currents to power homes, farms, and transport. They built machines that cleaned water and repaired damaged coral. But one day, the central current beneath the city changed direction. The machines lost power, and the inhabitants left before the domes failed. The city had waited in darkness for the current to return. Tesla studied the crystal and discovered that the current had not vanished. It had been trapped inside a gigantic machine beneath the seabed. Something below the city was still running after hundreds of years. Tesla and the pigeon entered a transparent elevator leading beneath the ocean floor. The elevator descended through layers of coral, rock, and glowing minerals. Far below, enormous gears turned inside a cavern, filled with seawater. At the center stood a machine shaped like a sleeping mechanical whale. Its metal ribs surrounded a spinning sphere of compressed ocean current. Tesla named it the tidal heart. The machine was not stealing the current intentionally. A broken control arm had locked it into one endless charging cycle. Tesla opened his toolbox and prepared to repair a machine larger than a building. The mechanical pigeon opened a much smaller toolbox and copied him proudly. Tesla climbed across the tidal heart using magnetic boots. Each step created small blue sparks across the ancient metal ribs. The pigeon flew beside him carrying bolts and one completely unnecessary spoon. Tesla reached the broken control arm near the spinning current sphere. The arm was bent around a crystal gear that moved faster than a clock. He used the anti-gravity boots to lift the heavy arm without touching the sphere. The pigeon inserted a replacement bolt, but chose the spoon by mistake. The spoon bent instantly and flew into Tesla's hat. Tesla replaced it with the correct bolt and tightened the mechanism. The tidal heart slowed, then released a gentle wave through the cavern. Energy rushed upward through transparent pipes beneath the city. Dark streets brightened one after another across every dome. The upward fountain transformed into a column of liquid starlight. Mechanical turtles, seahorses, and manta rays awakened throughout the harbor. Tesla watched the city return to life from the cavern window. Then the tidal heart began beating faster than before. A warning light flashed across its metal ribs. Tesla realized the released current was colliding with the star engine battery. The two energies created a growing whirlpool around the submarine harbor. The mechanical pigeon pointed toward the surface and flapped in urgent circles. Tesla raced back through the underground elevator as the city trembled gently. Inside the harbor, water spun outside the domes like a giant glass wheel. The copper submarine pulled against its docking cables. Tesla disconnected the star engine battery from the submarine. The whirlpool weakened, but the city lights began fading again. Tesla needed a power source that could balance stars and tides. He remembered the silver seed growing inside his laboratory. One small star fruit remained inside his emergency case. Tesla placed it beside the wave crystal in the communication chamber. The two lights blended into a calm turquoise glow. The balanced energy spread through the city without disturbing the ocean current. The whirlpool disappeared, and the harbor became peaceful again. The tidal heart settled into a slow, steady rhythm. Glass domes shone beneath the Atlantic like enormous lanterns. The city's machines began repairing coral around the outer walls. Mechanical fish planted new seagrass along the ocean floor. The upward fountain displayed a glowing map of the entire ocean. One region blinked red near a deep underwater trench. Tesla saw the outline of something enormous moving beneath the map. The pigeon covered its eyes, then peeked through its copper feathers. Before investigating the new mystery, Tesla explored the city's central archive. Thousands of transparent books floated inside bubbles of air. Tesla touched one bubble, and the book opened by itself. Its pages displayed machines powered by waves, heat, salt, and moonlight. One design showed a bridge connecting the ocean city with the surface. Another showed a vessel capable of traveling beneath the seabed. Tesla copied both designs into his secret folder. The mechanical pigeon found a recipe for seaweed biscuits. It tasted one sample and immediately filed the recipe under dangerous experiments. Tesla collected a small crystal compass as a gift from the city. Tesla returned to the copper submarine as the restored harbor gates opened. The mechanical creatures gathered along the platforms to watch them leave. The giant copper manta ray escorted the submarine beyond the city domes. Tesla looked back at the glowing city. Beneath the dark ocean, the crystal compass pointed not toward north, but toward unanswered questions. During the journey home, it suddenly turned toward the deep trench. A low pulse traveled through the water and shook the submarine windows. Far below, two enormous blue eyes opened beneath the seabed. Tesla smiled and placed a fresh folder on his work table. The ocean city was awake, but something older had awakened with it.